Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. This is the first in a series of webinars that we'll be conducting around WeChat strategy, WeChat marketing automation, and getting started on WeChat. And today we're going to start with getting started on WeChat. My name is Jeff Fish. I'm one of the co-founders of TMG. We are a WeChat marketing and automation solutions provider, globally located in New York, Guangzhou, and Chennai. I run our New York office, and I head up global account strategy. Thank you all for joining. Before we get started, there is a Q&A section in the webinar. If you have any questions whatsoever, please go ahead and answer them there, and we'll answer all questions towards the end of the webinar. This is being recorded for future use, and we'll be sending it out afterwards. A little bit about our agenda today. I think all of us are here because we're interested in WeChat and have either tried to get started or are looking to get started on WeChat. So we'll talk a little bit about why WeChat, especially around why WeChat for tourism. Talk a little bit about how WeChat helps and why it's so successful both in China and around the world. Talk about understanding WeChat for business and what that means for everybody on the call. So I'm sure most of you have personal WeChat accounts. Some of you may have WeChat official accounts. Some of you may have even tried to create a WeChat mini program. Today we'll talk about what that looks like and what the process is. We'll then get into what marketing on WeChat with WeChatify is. And WeChatify is our product that we created specifically for WeChat and is designed for international brands looking to do business in China. And then we'll jump into one example. We can certainly talk about others if there's questions, but we thought we'd jump into kind of the future of where WeChat's going and where we're working with the WeChat team to deliver exceptional experiences for Chinese travelers. So with that being said, let's get started with why WeChat. So I believe that most of the folks on the call today are engaged in some sort of tourism marketing and are looking to engage in the Chinese traveler. And WeChat, with over 900 million active users and 90% of those in China, is not a social app. So I talk to many individuals around the country and around the world, and when people ask what's WeChat, the answer is, oh, well, you know, it's similar to WhatsApp or maybe Facebook Messenger or even maybe Facebook. It's not. It's really a super app that's designed for all things mobile in China, and how do we extend that globally? And the reason why we're here today is because the Chinese traveler spends more per person than any other traveler in the world, almost double what the next traveler globally spends. And last year, there were 120 million outbound Chinese travelers. By 2020, that will grow to 200 million. And more importantly, they will account for 20% of all global travel. So I think that I'm probably preaching to the choir to the folks that are on the call today, but it's important to think about the spending power and the opportunity to engage with the Chinese traveler. Now, engaging with the Chinese traveler isn't enough. It's not enough to be on an OTA like Ctrip. It's not enough to have slippers in your hotel room. And the reason being is that Chinese travelers are changing. Chinese travelers are going from legacy 10 years ago, booking through a tour and only booking through a tour, to certainly still doing that in some cases, but in many cases, shifting to becoming an FIT traveler and looking for unique experiences and doing their own research on mobile, because the Chinese traveler that's coming to New York or San Francisco or Chicago or Hawaii doesn't spend a whole lot of time on their computer. So everything we have to think about is, how do you live in a mobile lifestyle? And that mobile lifestyle exists within WeChat. Now, to help the Chinese traveler make decisions, you want to help that decision point in China. And we know from our research that 80% of that consumer decision journey occurs in mainland China before they even land in any of the cities where you're marketing to. And that could be interests in purchasing a bag, interests in going to an event like a concert or a movie, or going to a show, or going to a certain restaurant, staying in your hotel. planning their entire vacation, the traveler that's coming to your city or your state or your country is focusing on the itinerary while in China. So to be able to do that, you need to be able to get your brand and get your message in front of them well before they arrive for their vacation. So WeChat allows us to do that. WeChat allows us to do that in several ways. It allows us to create brand awareness. It allows us to increase brand engagement. And I think most importantly for the individuals on this call, allows us to maximize tourist spend. WeChat is truly a top of the funnel to bottom of the funnel solution that can help support your brand in every step in the process, from the beginning of the customer journey all the way through the time they head back to China and you want to start to re-engage them so they tell their friends about the experience. And that's what we're going to go through today. And I look forward to questions and how to make that happen. So let's talk a little bit about why WeChat converts and why so many brands are using WeChat today. There are millions of official accounts. There's over 1 million mini programs. If you've been to China in the past year, you'll notice that all things commerce perspective happen on WeChat, from buying your Starbucks coffee to picking up your car service, which in China is Didi, to paying for your movie, to even scheduling an appointment with your doctor. All of those things happen on WeChat in China. So the standard should be that you provide those services outside of China to your Chinese travelers. And there's different steps that you need to do to be able to provide that. So let's start with the first step. The first step is very much around how to acquire new users. And it's not like you build it and they will come. So you can't build an official account or build a mini program or build your presence on WeChat and expect 1 million people to follow you or to connect with you. It just doesn't work that way. So you do have to acquire users. And the way that we start by acquiring users are certainly through organic methods. So the ability to promote offline experiences to online experiences. So for any of you that are managing a hotel or managing some sort of experience, you should have a QR code front and center and available so that a Chinese traveler can scan it and follow your official account or join your mini program. That's number one. If those are things that you're not currently doing, it's something you should be doing right away. It's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to acquire users that way. But you do also want to acquire users through the old-fashioned advertising methods. So just like how Facebook advertising works really well, so does WeChat marketing and Tencent marketing in China. You can create a persona, you can create that target, and then you can acquire that target. Cost per follower can range anywhere from 20 cents to $3, depending on the type of targeting you're going after. We've worked with clients that are going after individuals that are interested in $50 million homes. They might be a little bit more than someone that might be interested in just traveling to San Francisco. So on average, it's about $1 for acquisition. Then what's very different from Facebook or Instagram or really any other US social network is the retargeting. So the model on WeChat is not just to gain revenue from advertising. That is still about 30% of WeChat's revenue, but it's really to keep the users on WeChat as long as possible, to use things like WeChat Pay or to play games. So the retargeting capabilities are completely free. So as soon as you acquire a follower, you can retarget that individual with almost 100% guarantee that they're going to at least view the message, and then up to a 30% open rate at no cost. So there's no additional cost to segment and message your users over a period of time. So definitely the content marketing and social media elements of WeChat come into play here. So you do want to have relevant content that's important to your potential customers, your potential travelers, and you want to make sure that you're delivering information that will allow them to convert quickly. So things like coupons, things like information that's happening for events around your city or your location, things that are tied to certain Chinese holidays. And, I know all of our clients are gearing up for Golden Week. After Golden Week, start gearing up for Chinese New Year. So there's always something to promote and focus on, and that's really where the retargeting capabilities happen. A major differentiator between a Facebook or an Instagram or a Twitter or a LinkedIn is that WeChat is very much an ecosystem. And in that ecosystem, you have to be able to buy things. So when people ask me what WeChat is, my best comparison would be Facebook, Google, Amazon, and PayPal. And the PayPal portion is really important. WeChat Pay has, in 2.5 years, gone from 0 users to 600 million active users. Between WeChat Pay and Alipay, they amount to 90% of all purchases in China. China has become a mobile society. And if you're a mobile society, you need to be able to accept mobile checkout. So the ability to offer one-click checkout, very similar to Amazon, for any of your brands with WeChat Pay is paramount to success. And also offering WeChat Pay at your location is paramount to success. So that's something that we absolutely recommend for you and your brand. Then finally, to close the loop, is the customer service and chat support. So you can have customer service both pre-sale and post-sale. The ability within WeChat to automate a lot of this and put some artificial intelligence or machine learning behind it allows for really low-cost chat support. So if an individual is interested in purchasing a ticket or booking a room, you could have a chatbot take them through multiple steps in the process. If an individual is staying at your hotel or eating at your restaurant and they've got a concern or a question, you can have the chatbots or the autoresponders answer most of those questions. And then if you're a larger brand and you need a contact center or have a contact center to support your Chinese travelers, let's say if you're a retailer, we can route those individuals to the correct contact center, all within WeChat, all within the platforms that we support. Okay, so let's jump into each one of those features in a little bit more detail. Let's jump into creating brand awareness first. So as I mentioned earlier, old-fashioned advertising really works, and certainly works in China. With Tencent having over 1 billion monthly active users, the data targeting is phenomenal, as good or better than Facebook. While Facebook's ad platform knows a lot about you, and many of the people on the call probably access Facebook once a day, or Instagram, which is a Facebook property, or maybe WhatsApp, which is also a Facebook property. They're at 2 billion active users between their properties, where WeChat is almost 1 billion, and if you add in Tencent's other properties, they're well over 1 billion. The difference is that almost 40% of all traffic on mobile in China is on WeChat. So individuals are spending so much time on WeChat that Tencent is acquiring all of this data that they can then use that data for data targeting. So as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking for an individual that could be of interest to buying a $50 million home, data targeting can allow you to do that. If you're looking for an individual that might be interested in sneakers, that also might be interested in traveling to Hawaii or traveling to New York, we can do that as well. So those targets are important, and that helps build brand awareness. Certainly if you're a global brand like Apple, you've got brand affinity and brand strength, but many brands are not as well known in China. So it's important to not only drive to conversion, and in this case, conversion would be to either follow your official account or go into a mini program and convert into something. So that could be a purchase or an event or a coupon, but also to help build brand recognition for when individuals travel to your city or state or country. Once we have them and they've followed your official account or they've gone in and joined your mini program, we very much want to build brand affinity. So we want to have ongoing content marketing. So like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or any other social network, you have to have a content marketing strategy. You have to have a strategy that is usually a month out, built out for your weekly posts. What's interesting about WeChat, if you're not too familiar with the different types of accounts, we're recommending for all of our clients, and certainly for any brand, would be a service account. And service accounts go out once a week with rich messages. And that's something that you want to build out generally a month in advance, and start to build out your content calendar the same way you would for any of your other social networks. Also the same way you would for your email marketing or SMS marketing. Difference here is that email no one opens in China, and SMS is not very popular because of the cost of SMS messages. So really in China, you really have one channel to be super successful, and that's through WeChat. I mentioned earlier that the ability to allow for conversions and payment are extremely important to the Chinese traveler. They're also extremely important to your success on WeChat. So you can build a mini program, and you can build the same store that you have in your retail location. You can build that on WeChat. If you have an app on the App Store in iOS or in Android, you can build the same type of app on WeChat, and the user never has to leave. You can provide direct booking. So if you're a hotel provider or an airline, and you wanted to have the ability to book a flight or book your hotel room, whether you're a global brand or a regional brand, all of that can happen on WeChat. Many of you have rewards programs, and rewards programs are extremely important. And you want to continue to build a brand affinity through your rewards program. So you want to integrate that into WeChat. And then finally, of course, as I mentioned earlier, you want to allow for that one-click checkout. So you want to be able to support WeChat Pay, both online and offline. And then what do you actually deliver within that WeChat experience? And the idea is that you don't need a website anymore for your Chinese travelers. They're not going to go there. As I mentioned, almost 40% of your traffic is going to WeChat for all individuals in China. So the need for multiple destinations, multiple digital destinations like a website or an iOS app or an Android app just aren't necessary anymore. What you do need is an immersive experience on WeChat. So things like directions to your location, information about your location, maybe reviews about your location, maybe itineraries if you're a CVB or a DMO and you want to provide itineraries around your city or your state. Reviews about your location. So things like integrations into Yelp or TripAdvisor, or even in integrations from OTAs in China, like Ctrip. All of that type of data can be pulled into your WeChat experience so that you're enriching the traveler's experience before they land in your city, state, or country, when they get there, and then also when they leave, so they can share that with their friends. So let's look at some of the elements that we would want to leverage. So some folks don't know what KOLs are. I try to say when I'm talking to a webinar of US attendees, the biggest KOLs in the United States, influencers, are people like Kim Kardashian, Donald Trump is a big influencer, Barack Obama, Beyonce. These are people that have tons of followers. Now, the difference between Barack Obama and maybe Donald Trump is that they don't get paid to promote other brands, whereas Kim Kardashian gets paid large sums of money to promote other brands. And influencers work really well in the United States, both on Instagram and on Facebook and on YouTube and on Snapchat, lots of different places. In China, they're much more important, maybe 10 times more important. And the reason being is that there's a lack of trust in China of individuals and of brands. But KOLs, as they're called in China, or key opinion leaders, are trusted. And you can find key opinion leaders in all areas of need. So certainly there are other Beyoncés of the world in China and the Kim Kardashians. They're very expensive and very hard to reach to have them promote your brand, especially if you're a smaller brand. But then there's travel bloggers, there's real estate bloggers, there's luxury bloggers, and there's many of them. And they've got all different types of followers. And there's ways to engage them. It could be monetary, it could be offering a trip, it could be engaging with them with opportunities within your brand, but they work really well. And they help drive awareness, they help drive customer interaction, and they help drive conversion. So it's important that you're thinking about KOLs with any part of your strategy. It's important that you're continuing to push content that's relevant to WeChat users. So we've worked with all types of brands, really large brands, small brands, and some of the first conversations we have are you going to translate our content? Because we don't have a team in China that can do that. And the answer is, yeah, sure, we can do that. And if some of you that are on the call have a team in China, or maybe have Chinese speakers on your social media marketing team, then you don't need an organization like us to do that. But you can't just translate. It needs to be in tone. It's the same idea as if you were posting content to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You wouldn't have the same post to all 4 networks. You would have different tone to 4 different networks because they're different followers and different audiences. So you want to make sure that your audience and the information that you send is relevant to them on WeChat, so it's the right tone, that it's translated correctly. So you don't want to use things like Google Translate. That doesn't work very well. And you want to make sure that you're delivering an experience that is WeChat relevant. So you wouldn't want to write a 3,000-word essay and post it on WeChat to your followers. You want to be rich in videos, in pictures, and have the stories support those images and those videos. You want to be able to bring your Chinese travelers into your offline experience on WeChat. And that is the same thing that you're trying to do on your website. It's the same thing you might be trying to do in your app. It's the same thing you might be trying to do on Facebook. But the difference here, and this is really important, the difference here is that this is the only channel that matters in China. There are other channels. There's channels like Weibo. You could use certainly OTAs, and OTAs are a conversion point, but they're not brand building. But none of them will help build your brand and build customer loyalty and drive conversion the way WeChat will. And that's really important when you're thinking about building out your strategy. So let's jump into what it means to get on WeChat and to create an account. There were several questions that came in for those of you that registered about this. So we do want to touch on this, and we want to make sure that you understand the differences in the types of accounts and what it takes to set one up. So almost every brand that enters WeChat creates an official account. There are different types of official accounts. There's subscription accounts, there's service accounts, there's enterprise accounts. Subscription accounts are most often used for news sites and for KOLs. So the news sites or the famous people that are pushing out information daily, subscription accounts make sense. Service accounts are for most of the people that are on the call. And service accounts are really designed for brands that are looking to engage with their customers, engage with their followers, and build brand loyalty. Enterprise accounts are more so for internally in China for brands that are looking to do internal communications. So our focus for our clients are service accounts. And the main reason for that are these elements here. So subscription and service accounts look similar if you were to create one, but they're not similar at all. So first off, subscription accounts all go into a subscription account folder when the messages come in. They've got a much lower read rate and a much lower engagement rate than a service account. Service account messages come from through your news feed the same way a friend does. So if Apple or eBay or Hyatt or DFS were sending a message via a service account, then that information would come in the same way it would through a friend's message. So you've got that 99.5% view rate and almost upwards of 30% open rate for high quality messages. The average is probably about 15%. And then there's the integration points. So while a subscription account does offer daily messages, it lacks the ability to have full API or full programming integrations. So things like the ability to build out your store or to subscribe to payment or provide advanced integrations into tools like ours or into additional tools that could be available. Just those aren't available on subscription accounts. They really just are for daily publishing of content, which I believe based on the registrants, most of you don't fall into that category. So now we're going to jump into what official account structure looks like. As I mentioned earlier, creating your website for China is not relevant anymore. In fact, since most of you that based on your registrations are in the United States, maybe in Europe, you probably have servers in the US or in Europe. And if that's the case, then your websites will not be very fast when accessed via China because of the firewall. So forget the fact that 40% of all traffic, or almost 40% of all traffic, is going to WeChat anyway. On top of that, if you are lucky enough to get someone to your website, the experiences are going to be very good. So what WeChat has made available is the ability to build out your website-like experience within your official account. So what you're looking at here is what the main page looks like. Very similar to, let's say, a Facebook fan page 5 years ago, where you had a built-in navigation. Because WeChat is different from Facebook, they're not changing this. They have enhanced it with mini programs, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But you'll see that all of the relevant information that you need can be accessible from your official account. If you go a little bit further, you can see all of the additional types of content that you can push in here, and the news content that comes in. Now, I do want to point out that every message that you send is logged within WeChat and can be accessed from an individual as soon as they follow the official account. So the messages don't go away. So I talk to clients all the time, and they talk to me about, we don't know what content to create, and we haven't started our user acquisition strategy, so we're not going to create content for a while. That's not a good strategy. A good strategy is to build out your publishing calendar, make sure you're publishing your content, and then as followers start to follow your account, start to re-engage them so that they can engage with that content. That's a much better strategy so that you're continuing to build brand affinity. If someone follows your official account and they don't get access to much content and they don't have messages coming through weekly, they're going to drop off. And we've seen with large and small brands, we've seen drop off from brands that are not engaged. Now, something that launched in January of this year has been a game changer for WeChat, and been a game changer in China, really. And it's the way that WeChat is going to kind of keep their stranglehold on mobile traffic in China. So, I can't speak for Tencent, the parent company to WeChat, but they're almost at 40% now. I suspect that their goal is to be over 50% by the end of the year in traffic, and this is how they're going to do it. So mini programs, which literally just launched, they're only halfway through a year old. They have over 1 million live. You can see some examples of some really big brands. You can see DFS, Swarovski, the City of London, all available in the mini program, and many other brands, literally over 1 million, that have launched since then. And it's WeChat's version of the App Store. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not a social app anymore. It's an ecosystem. And if you're an ecosystem, you never want anyone to ever leave. And if you needed to leave to go to Swarovski's app in the App Store, or to go to DFS's app in the App Store, or to go to London's app in the App Store, then there's a potential that you won't come back. And if you don't come back, then WeChat loses you. And then you have they've moved away from a single point of contact to multiple apps. So what they did was they did the same research that Facebook has done and Google has done, and really all of the major social networks and software and technology providers in Silicon Valley have done, and they've realized that even on your iPhone or your Android, you could have 150, 200 apps. You only use 10 or 20. So they created light apps, and that's what mini programs are. They're light apps that are accessible within WeChat, so you never have to leave. So this has been a game changer because it can be your complete store. It can be your complete experience, and we'll get into what an experience looks like in a few minutes, all within WeChat. You never have to leave. So it's something that many of you may have not heard of yet, but something that's spreading very quickly in China. So how do you get your brand on WeChat? And it's different from going to Facebook and creating a fan page. For years I was in social media marketing in the United States, supporting U.S. brands on U.S. social networks. And from an agency life, we would go in and do a design and create a Facebook page, and then we'd go in and do a design, create Instagram, and support a LinkedIn company page, maybe a Twitter feed, and all of those elements could be done by anyone, right? As long as you've got maybe some creative understanding and some execution. And it was pretty easy because it was very simple to create the account. You just needed some creative to be able to create the account, maybe some understanding of content to be able to publish. But in China and on WeChat, that's different. So account creation is very different. There has to be a process. There's documents that need to happen. You need to be able to provide those documents to Tencent or to WeChat. And this is both for your mini program or your official account. Now, Tencent will say this over and over again, and it's very important. Direct registration is free, and Tencent will never charge you. There is a registration fee for just proving that you're a brand and who you are. It's a very small amount. It's 300 RMB. But the actual creation of the account and management of the account is free. There is no charge whatsoever, and that was a question that came up on the registration. The catch is that you need to have a Chinese business entity. So I know I'm speaking to people in the US and in Europe, mostly in the US. If you have a Chinese business entity, you can do this all on your own, and you don't need an agency. And if you've got someone who speaks Chinese, can log into the Weijin interface, although the Weijin interface is a little clunky. That's what WeChat is in China. But you could do it. You could manage it. The challenge is if you don't have a Chinese business entity, you do need to work with an agent or an agency. We happen to be one. There are many that do it. We happen to be one of the only that are globally distributed, with offices in the US and in China and in India. But any Chinese business entity agent can create an account for you under their agency license. Now, there's still even more steps on top of that. So you need to go through the elements of account verification. So there is information that you're going to need to provide. You'll need to provide bank validation. We'll need to be able to provide validation around personal information, around phone number, email address. All of these elements are all very important. And an agency, whether it be our agency or another, will take you through all of these steps and will handle this process for you. You do need to provide an authorization letter to whether it be us or anyone else to act as your agent. And at least when we set up our clients, this is one of the first things that we do in our first kickoff meeting is we go over what the steps will need to happen for you to create this account, whether it be a mini program and an official account or both. These days, we are creating both for our clients. Very few clients are doing one or the other. They are doing them in concert with each other. So that's something to think about. I haven't seen any questions come in about this. Usually this is where lots of questions pop up. If you have additional questions, certainly ask them and we'll get to them at the end. There is a Q&A button that you can access via the webinar. If not, I'll open it up to open conversation at the end, but this usually is the area where it gets stumped for our webinar invitees. So we're gonna, if there are no questions at this point, we'll move on to the next section, and that's how to market on WeChat using WeChatify. So WeChatify is very much a software solution and professional services solution for international brands. And we like to break it up as 70% you can do on your own through our software, and the other 30% you might need our help with. And again, there are other agents and agencies that offer similar services. We like to think that we offer a unique service for international brands because we've designed everything that we do for international brands looking to convert customers on WeChat in China. So if we look at what we do, back to the steps earlier around user acquisition, we support user acquisition both on the advertising side and KOL side. So we have access to tens of thousands of KOLs that we can tap at any time. We certainly offer all of the organic strategies that are available, and we try to exhaust those first. And within our platform, we allow you as a user to create O2O campaign management. We'll get into what that looks like in a minute. And O2O is offline to online and online to offline. And the best way to do that is through QR codes when we engage with customers in China. The average customer in China scans 12 QR codes a day. So it is the standard in China. So that is something we built into the platform. As we go further down the process, we can certainly help you with content. We can certainly help you with what the user journey might be for a retail brand versus a hotel brand or a restaurant. But that's something that you know your brand better than we do. So that's something that we would rely on you as a client to support. And any of our competitors, I think, would say the same thing. What we do offer, though, is once you've come up with that user journey creation for your brand and for your Chinese traveler, we offer complete software solutions to be able to enable those journeys. So ongoing retargeting through data targeting and analytics, the ability to build one-to-one journeys, so the ability to drive someone down a funnel, and we'll get into what that looks like. The ability for you to create, as someone sitting in Chicago or in Boston, a contest that could happen over this weekend or over the next month leading into Golden Week. All of those elements are built into the platform. Then when we get further down the funnel on the sales side, we offer the services to integrate WeChat Pay and to build out coupon delivery within those one-to-one journeys. So we have coupon automation, but we do want to be able to work with you or your team on what the right coupons would be for this audience. Now we do have the ability to retarget. So if someone bounces, if they don't make a purchase, or if they don't sign up for your loyalty program, we know that based on our data, and we can retarget them and have them come back to convert. And then on the bottom, customer service or the end of the funnel, we offer automated responses. We offer natural language processing and artificial intelligence within our chatbot solution. And then for those of you that have contact centers, we have multi-agent customer service, routing and queuing all built into the platform. So as we go a little bit further into the product, one of the first things that we do once we create your official account or set up your mini program is we want to bind it to our platform. Now, this is really important so that team members, whether they're sitting in the marketing team, in the e-commerce team, in the hospitality services team, they all log into one instance of WeChatify, and they log into the instance that we create. And if you've got multiple accounts, you can access multiple accounts. So if you have your service account for 3 different hotels and you have a mini program for all 3, you can log into WeChatify and be able to access that from one single point of login. And we handle all of that for you. All we need is access to your official account or your mini program to be able to bind it. As you go a step further into the marketing elements, of WeChatify. This is something that all of our clients, whether they're in hospitality or financial services or retail, have found key to success when dealing with China, because for several reasons. One, often our clients have a central marketing team in the US or in Europe or in Southeast Asia, and then they've got either a team on the ground in China, or they have an agency, whether it's us as an agency or another agency handling their last point of contact messaging. And up until working with us, the agency or the team on the ground were driving all of that information. In our case, we now have workflows built in where the corporate marketing team or the marketing team in the US can control the message. And if you don't have an agency on the ground in China, or you don't have a Chinese speaking team, we can handle the translation and the tone and publish out. If you do, and you've got workflows that you want to build for your team, we can build all of those workflows within our software. As we get into data, data is really important to everything that we do. We have a complete integration with Salesforce. And one of the keys to making that integration happen was our tag manager, and making sure that we could tag every interaction within WeChat, and making sure that those WeChat interactions are meaningful. So we put scores against those tags as well. So whether you're interacting on the official account, on a mini program, within an autoresponder or a chat function, or even through a poll or a game, we're tagging that information, and then we're storing that data within WeChatify so that we can understand more about the user, and more important, we can drive user conversion through the funnel. I had mentioned O2O campaign management. Our ability to generate QR codes is extremely important to all of our clients. It allows for any organization, whether you're a single restaurant or a single hotel, to generate QR codes that are relevant to your followers and your customers. So if you want to generate a QR code for someone that checks in at the front desk, or if you want to generate a QR code for a print advertisement at the airport when someone lands, all of those QR codes are trackable at the QR code level, and they start a journey. So we know exactly when and where they came in and how they came in. And we're able to drive journeys through those QR code scans. As we get into building customer relevance and building user engagement, contest management does this really well. It allows to engage your followers in ways that will keep them coming back to your account, so it help them to convert to either make a booking or make a purchase or become part of your loyalty program, but more importantly, to engage their friends and colleagues. And we have allowed for our platform to support several types of contests that drive significant numbers of followers. So in fact, we're running several contests right now where if an individual follows the account and they join the contest, for them to enter into a lucky draw for a fairly large contest, an all expense paid trip to a city or even to a major country in Southeast Asia, the software allows us to manage all of this and to track all of the interactions. And then, as I mentioned earlier, mini programs launched in January. The ability to manage your mini program within our platform is something that we continue to build out with our roadmap, and it's something that we've launched very basic level of management with it today, and we'll have complete management by the end of this year. Last but not least, on the software side, the customer service management and chatbot integration is all built into WeChatify. So one of the first things that we do, if you wanted to, let's say, automate your customer service responses, and we'd look at your FAQs, we'd look at the types of questions that Chinese travelers are asking now, and we'd build out integrations into our system for that. And then on the queuing system, if you do have a contact center or you wanted to queue to an actual customer service agent, we have the ability to queue for pre-sale and post-sale and for multiple agents at one time. So those are the types of things that are built in. So I'm going to leave you with some work that we've done in the travel space. We've done lots of work. We've got lots of clients in travel space. It's about 60% of our client roster. But something that we're launching very soon that we're really proud of, that we're going to be rolling out globally, is some work that we're doing with Great Britain, and specifically with the City of London. And we are building out the entire London experience on WeChat, and we're doing it in a mini program. So you'll be able to log in and look at the various attractions that are available within London. And all of this is managed by the London team, so they can update this at any time. All of this will be in Mandarin. You'll be able to learn general information and get information that matters most to a traveler. So things like a conversion tool to be able to convert RMB to British pound. If we were in the US, we'd convert US dollars to RMB, and anywhere else in the world we could do that. So we have currency information. We have event management, so events that are coming up in the future, and then even things like knowing about what the climate is throughout the year, so that you can help build out your itinerary based on that. All of this information is totally managed by our client. You can have specific itineraries that you want to create. So think of if you're creating a tour within a city and you want to be able to provide certain tours itineraries, that can all be built into the platform. You can do it by time. So let's say you wanted to give someone a full day itinerary that would make sense if they're landing in a certain part of your state, or landing in a certain part of your staying in a certain part of your city. You can deliver that. And then I think what's really important for us to grow on WeChat as brands is to be able to feed off each other. So if you're a single hotel in a city, the ability for you to gain 100,000 followers is probably pretty difficult. But if you're part of a larger hotel chain and you're integrated into that hotel chain, then you're feeding off that brand. What if you're a single restaurant in a city and you want to be able to attain and attract and retain additional Chinese travelers to your restaurant? Well, your own restaurant probably doesn't need its own mini program, probably doesn't need its own official account even, but you could work with your city to be available within the official account or your mini program. So that's something and features that we are bringing into the solutions that we're building out. And then finally, I think reviews are really important. So the ability to pull in reviews both at the official account level and the mini program level are key. We can build out our own review manager like we've done for London, or we can pull in reviews for places like TripAdvisor or Ctrip. So I know that was a lot in about 42 minutes. That concludes our session, and I think I'll open it up for questions. If there are questions, please open your Q&A, and I'm going to also unmute everyone so that if you want to ask a question, you can do it via voice. So you are all unmuted. Okay, we've received a question on how much does it cost to annually have an official company page? As I mentioned, there's no cost to WeChat. There is a one-time 300 RMB registration fee that is really just to make sure that you're you and to get you set up on the system. But there's no cost whatsoever. Now, if you work with an agency like ours or other agencies, there certainly will be other costs. So we have subscription fees that we have offerings from as little as $599 a month that covers managing your entire official account, setting it up on WeChatify, and supporting your strategy. If you wanted to go into content marketing and translation and additional features, those are certainly available as well. And I can have someone on the sales team contact you after the session if that's of interest. And certainly you can reach out directly via email. Another question that just came in: how can we open a bank account in China? We don't have Chinese citizens, but have Chinese speakers. The answer is, to open a bank account in China, you have to have a Chinese business entity or a Chinese citizen. So to answer your question, if you have a Chinese business entity, you can open a bank account. If you have a Chinese citizen that works for you, if you're a fairly small organization and you wanted to run it under their account, you could. It doesn't look like you have that. Another option is you don't really need a Chinese bank account. You can work with a payment service provider. So we have partners in the United States. We have partners in Europe that handle payment services and cross-border payments and cross-border transactions. In the United States, we work with a company called Sitcon that supports cross-border transactions. They handle all of it. We've partnered with them on some very large implementations. They work with very small companies. They work with even fast food restaurants in San Francisco Airport, and they work with very large companies. We partnered with them with companies like DFS to handle cross-border transactions. So I hope that answered your question. On the next question, would it be possible to get this presentation? Absolutely. We are happy to send this presentation out to everyone, and this is being recorded, so we'll also send out the webinar as well. Additional questions that came in: what are the best ways to engage users on your page? I hope that we answered that earlier, but I'd say that the best way to engage users from your official account would be to build out your content publishing calendar monthly. Make sure that you have authentic content that's relevant to your brand, and make sure that you're not just promoting your brand specifically. So you want to be able to promote what's going on within your city. You want to promote events that are happening. Definitely want to have, and I'm not sure who asked this, but you definitely want to offer promotions that are WeChat specific. So you want to be a WeChat centric offering that someone wouldn't be able to get on an OTA, that someone maybe wouldn't be able to get from your website. So exclusivity works really well. Coupons that are WeChat specific coupons work really well. We found that with retailers that we've worked with, offering some sort of O2O coupon. So buy something on your WeChat mini program and then show up at the store and use that coupon works really well. For hotels, offering an exclusive promotion, so it could be the same rate as you have on Ctrip or on any other OTA, but within WeChat, you also get free Wi-Fi, and you'll be guaranteed 10% off of breakfast, and you're guaranteed slippers and a tea kettle in the room. Those types of promotions work really well on WeChat, and that's something that we would recommend. This question that came in, is WeChat better used as an informative page or an interactive page like Facebook? I'd answer that WeChat should be used as your central communication channel. So information and interaction, both through information on a weekly basis, sending out your messages, interaction, whether it be on your mini program of having a full experience or a less so experience on your official account, but it should do both. Okay, next question. Are there any categories within which we can create accounts? How do we target tourism-focused audience particularly? Is there a search optimization option on WeChat? Okay, so those are several questions. So let's try to answer each one of them. When you create your official account is, or your mini program, is available to all, as long as it's created in China, so through Weijin, it's available to almost 1 billion users. And the category is less so important on an official account. It can be important for a mini program. So you can, through special exception, it's something that we can help you on, enable the individual to land in whatever city you're in. Let's say you're in Chicago, land in Chicago and open up mini programs and look up mini programs near me, or places that accept WeChat Pay near me. That can come up, and that is allowing for real O2O experiences when someone gets to a location. You could absolutely target tourism-focused audiences, and that can be done, as I mentioned earlier, through Tencent's ad network, which is over 1 billion people per month, and through KOLs. It's something that we've got a lot of experience doing, something we do for most of our clients. Your answer about search optimization, the answer is it's coming. So your messages will be able to be optimized. Tencent has come out very recently with their focus on building out their search within WeChat, and it's in beta now. So it's definitely something that is going to matter in the future, but it won't matter on the account itself. It'll matter on the content that you're creating from your account. So we are working with our content marketing teams and our clients to make sure that we're optimizing keywords for the future, for when that actually matters, but it is coming. So that's a great question, and something to think about going forward. Okay, so there's a question about advertising opportunities. Your advertising opportunities, you can purchase advertising through Tencent, through their ad network. To advertise your own brand, if that's the question, you'd have to build up a significant following, and then you could act as a KOL. It really depends on who you are and what you do. But on the advertising side, the ability to target is extremely strong and allows for you to create that persona, and we'd work with you on that persona creation, and then dig deep into the type of profile that you're looking to acquire, and then acquire those individuals through Tencent's ad network. So I hope I answered that question correctly. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll give everyone back 10 minutes of their day. I want to thank you all so much for joining. Another question just came up before I end. How much do we charge for our services as an agency? As I mentioned, our starting subscription point is at $5.99 a month, $599, and they can range upwards of $3,000 per month depending on the services. Most of our clients go with our business edition, which is $14.99, so $1,499 a month, and they are annualized subscriptions. But we'd be happy to talk to you about your specific use case in the future. Okay. Now I'll give you back 9 minutes of your day. Thank you so much. We'll send a follow-up with this webinar video and the deck. Thank you for taking the time. You will be seeing in the near future additional webinars. Plus, we have WeChat Connect events that are coming up in San Francisco, in Las Vegas, in Toronto, and in New York. And if any of you have interest in joining any of those events, please shoot me an email directly. And we have other events coming up around the country as well. So we'd be happy to share the event listing with everyone that's joined today. So thanks so much and have a good day, everyone.